On the biggest stage in the world, FanDuel is changing the game because sometimes your player gets subbed off and your bet goes with them. Not anymore. With FanDuel Super Sub, if your player's subbed out, your bet stays in. That's right. If your player leaves a match, your bet continues on with the substitute. So you're still in it until the final whistle. Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
21 plus select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DCKYWY. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. 888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050. Massachusetts. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 877-770-7867. Louisiana.
Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. A beautiful, beautiful Sunday morning here in New York on this June 14th. And let's bring in, do we have the music, Elias? Let's do this properly. There we go. The 47th president and 45th president, that matters, of the United States. This is Donald John Trump. Mr. President, thanks so much for joining us once again. We really appreciate it.
Well, Joe, I have to say, you're one of the good Joes. There's a lot of bad Joes. There's Crooked Joe. He's a stupid person. I have to say that. No, he's very stupid. And you're smart. I call you smart, Joe. You also have Joe Scarborough on MS Now, or probably BS later. We don't know what we're going to call it. But horrible person, stupid Joe. You're a smart Joe. You're a wonderful Joe. And, I have to say today's a very special day for me. It's Flag Day, but it's also a very special day. So we're doing very well. We hope you're doing very well.
Yes, a special day, Mr. President. As far as you turn a certain age today, how do you feel about that?
Well, I'm turning, the big, beautiful 80. Think about it. We're doing well. And, people say to me, they say, sir, you don't look a day over 25. Right?
That's true.
They've never seen anything like it. I went to the doctor and, I happen to be a doctor too. They call me Dr. Don. I've diagnosed several people with Trump derangement syndrome. I said, you're suffering from a problem. And they say to me, sir, what is the problem? I said, I think you don't like me very much and it's causing a big problem in your head. You look at it, I say, I don't know if you heard about this, Joe, but I gave Oxygen my complete and total endorsement, and a bunch of people started holding their breath. I couldn't believe it. There was a rise in electrocutions because I told a bunch of liberals not to shower with their toaster oven, and they had some problems. But our doctors say to me, sir, you're at tippy-top physical shape. And, nobody's ever seen anything like it. I'm probably the greatest golfer, and we have beautiful health. And we're going to have a big, beautiful Big Mac for our birthday today with, all of the fixings and a lot of salt. I love the salt.
That's true, Mr. President. And we're talking to Donald J. Trump, the 47th president of the United States. I'm just curious, Mr. President, as far as the fact that you eat McDonald's a lot, right? And you're not the guy who's on the treadmill running, marathons or anything like that. Yet here you are, 80 years old, as active as any president. We have seen some presidents like Obama or Clinton or Bush who are in their 40s, but you're more active. What's your secret?
Well, I have to say, let me just tell you, I got along very well with Ronald McDonald. I don't know if you know that, but he's the founder.
I heard that.
He's the founder of McDonald's, right? So I got along very well with him. And we were going to call it Ron and Don. I said, no, you know what? Call it McDonald's. And so I got along very well. And, I'm the greatest employee. I was a McDonald's employee for a few hours, longer than the cackling hyena known as Kamala Harris. She's a cackling hyena, but and a very stupid person.
Wow.
And she has a gizzard. You look at her neck. She has the gizzard. I call it the Gizzard of Oz. She has a turkey neck. But you look at McDonald's, I do very well with her. I do very well with McDonald's, and I did very well against her. But my secret is, I created McDonald's with yours truly in mind. You know, when we did the 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
Oh, yes.
Ronald said to me, "Sir, that's brilliant." And so we put it together. It's one of the greatest things that you could eat. I have to say that Bobby Kennedy doesn't like when I say that, but it's worked out very well for me. It has my complete and total endorsement, and we do very well with it.
You have very interesting friends, Mr. President. I mean, whether we're talking about Ronald McDonald or E.T., I understand that you're very close with E.T., the extraterrestrials. Well, we've seen more UFO files released as far as orbs and all these other things. So tell us about your relationship with E.T. in general and UFOs as far as what you know as the Commander-in-Chief of the United States.
Well, I got along very well with E.T. A lot of people call him E.T. extraterrestrial. He's a tremendous guy, and he came to our planet, and he came to our country, and he said to me, "Sir, ouch." He pointed at me. He said, "Ouch."
Ouch.
And I said, "What's the problem?" And he said to me, "Sir, E.T. phone home, sir." And we made a perfect phone call home, and the Democrats are trying to impeach me over it. I can't believe it. I said, "It's an intergalactic quid pro quo." I said, "No, we're not going to do that." So we sent him home, and he's one of the good aliens, not one of the bad ones we sent home. We don't want him back. E.T.'s allowed to come back whenever he wants. I also got along very well with Marvin the Martian, and he has what's called the Illudium Q-36 explosive space modulator. I call it the discombobulator.
Oh, my.
And he said to me, "Sir, Mars is the red planet, but the Californians are trying to steal it with mail-in ballots. They're trying to turn it blue." I said, "We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let it happen."
Good.
And so Marvin's a tremendous guy. You have the new UFOs. They came to our country when Crooked Joe was president. They said there's no sign of intelligent life anywhere, and they left. Now I'm president, and they're coming back. So they're tremendous people. And I said to them, if we have a problem, you better come in peace. Because if you don't come in peace, we're going to wipe you out. You just ask around. We're going to wipe you out, and we're going to hit you with intergalactic tariffs, the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. And so we get along very well with the extraterrestrials and the UFOs, unidentified flying objects. But there's also what I call an IFO, and I'm talking about Chris Christie and Jiggly Belly Pritzker. Those are identified fat objects. You look at them, horrible people.
Yeah, they're very large. And I'm sorry. All right, people, I have to reveal once again, that was not the President of the United States right now, but you thought it was, right? You're listening. You're like, wow, this is a very interesting conversation. But Shawn Farash, he is the great Long Island, former Long Island, anyway, resident who moved to Tennessee because he's smart and now obviously has a great podcast. You have to listen to it, farashmedia.com. Shawn, thanks for joining us. I mean, that thing, the president loves that invitation, obviously, to the point where he has retweeted you.
Yeah, we tweeted the video of me in a sombrero. I said, that's the one we're going to do? The sombrero. But it was when the sombrero memes were going all over the place, and the Schumer shutdown, which we called the Schumer siesta, and we spoke a little Spanish in it, and it was fun to do that. You know, my goal, first and foremost, when I was on Long Island, learning how to do this voice and everything, was never to disrespect the guy. I love him. I think he's one of the best presidents. He's the best president of my lifetime. I wasn't alive for Reagan. So he's the best president of my lifetime. And anything we can do to add to that or get people out, get people excited, or just get people laughing, that's my goal. So every like, every share, every repost, every follower, I want that to turn into votes and points on the board for the cause. That's first and foremost.
That's true. And we're talking to Shawn Farash. And what's going on in California right now? I mean, I'm on the same page as you in terms of I don't get how the third place finisher in L.A., in terms of the mayor, gets all these votes above the first place finisher. I get that Republicans don't get the mail-in ballots the way they should. But at the same time, though, how does Rahman outperform Bass in terms of mail-in ballots, unless there's something very, very bad going on? Now, if we talk about this, we're conspiracy theorists, right? Like, we're really out there people. But I think that if you have common sense, there's something very, very wrong in California right now, Shawn.
Listen, it's not even about like, oh, do you think this is a stolen thing? I'm not even going to go down that road right now. Just look at the process, right, of how they count the votes in California. Florida's in 2 different time zones. They get it done in a matter of hours. Texas is a gigantic state. They get it done in a matter of hours, right? I mean, California, there was a point that, oh, it's going to take us 37 days. No, it's not. It shouldn't. Just count the votes. This isn't hard. And when you make it undetectable, if someone were to cheat, you make it undetectable. And when you have this whole idea where the postmark on a mail-in ballot can be handwritten, and as long as it's postmarked on Election Day, it counts. Well, that's interesting. I can't show up to a polling place the day after Election Day and vote. Why in the world should mail be allowed to be counted the day after Election Day? If it doesn't come in on time, you put it in the mail too late, or the USPS screwed up, and you know the risks when you do that. That's why you don't mail yourself money, right? That's why you handle it different. So whether or not you believe, right, because if this is a bone of contention, oh, I don't know, there's no evidence, or there's evidence, or this doesn't make sense, or it's a statistical impossibility, I happen to believe there's shady business going on. That's my thought. That's my opinion. Other people may disagree with me. But whether or not you believe there's shady business going on, we all should agree that they make it easy for it to happen and hard for it to detect, and it always benefits one side, and that's the one side that does not want to make any changes to this process, and the one side that weaponized this process back during COVID in the 2020 election. So with that full smorgasbord of information, you can make your own decision. Why would the voters of California not want to know the votes and the results on election night? Why? To me, the voters should be like, this is crazy. And a lot of them are, not enough of them are, and something needs to change there.
And we're talking to Shawn Farash. He is Captain Deplorable, the host of Ungoverned on LFA TV. Now, Shawn, you were in sales, I think, or customer service. I'm not quite sure. You clarified it for me, but in the end, you're like me. I was in sales also, and now I'm on, Fox News, and I have this radio show. I have a column for the Washington Examiner. I write books. What made you get into this ultimately? And here's my question. How easy was it to just have a podcast from your home or wherever you do this from and say, you know what, I'm a player now? It really is incredible what you've done in terms of your following, in terms of everything. So I'll give you the floor for 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was in sales. Thank you, Joe. I was in sales. That's where I learned how to really do the whole Trump impersonation, because I used it in my pitch when I was selling, cable. And it was a lot of fun in there, making them laugh. You give your customer a fun experience. They're either less likely to say no, or they're not going to be mean, right? So you're just having fun. I went to school for radio. I was always interested in sports radio. I grew up listening to WFAN, Mike and the Mad Dog, Boomer and Carton, Joe and Evan, all that, right? So I listened to WFAN every day. I thought I was going to do sports. And then I realized, because I'm unfortunately a Jets fan, that every time the Jets lose, things don't get more expensive, but every time Republicans lose, things do get more expensive. And other things too, immigration and all these issues that I care about. I say, why don't we redirect that passion from sports radio to political radio? And podcasting started to become a thing. Started a grassroots movement on Long Island. We call it the Loud Majority with my friend Kevin Smith, and we did a lot out there in the fall of 2020. The spring of 2021, the school board revolution we saw on Long Island when Bruce Blakeman got elected. He gave one of his first campaign speeches in the bed of my pickup truck at a rally we organized. It was pretty cool. And Lee Zeldin was a close friend of ours up there. We worked closely with his campaign. But while we were doing that, I said we should podcast. We should give our followers, our group, the folks who are coming to all of our rallies, a place to go for all the information. So we started doing it 3 days a week, and then LFA TV came around and picked it up. And so then, yes, it started to grow into this whole thing. But I decided, I listened a lot to Dan Bongino, Mark Levin, a lot of these guys, and I decided you got to get in. There's no half in, half out, dipping the toe in here or there. You got to get in, and you got to inspire other people to get in and fight for this country that we love. We all say we love America, but then when it comes time to knock on some doors in the campaign, it's like, oh, I don't know. I'm not saying you can't have a life, but for me, activism is one of my favorite things to do, whether it pays or it doesn't. I do a lot of my campaigning for free because I care about the cause, So that's how it got started in a 2-minute nutshell, and it has been a lot of fun ever since.
Well, thank you, Shawn. And before we go, give us your best Trump line in terms of like one line that he has that really resonates when you do it.
That's a tough one, right? I would have to say probably the way he ends all of his speeches, we'd probably say, thank you for your attention to this matter.
That's true. Every tweet and everything else. So thank you so much, Shawn Farash. We really appreciate it. And again, great job leaving Long Island to go to Tennessee. You're saving so much money. And again, we appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show.